Now, right now, while this conflict and crisis rages in the Middle East, Canadians have an opportunity and therefore a responsibility to look to be there for each other. Not to necessarily agree. Our diversity includes diversity of perspectives and opinions. But not to hate.
Prime Minister Justin Trudeau yesterday reacting to yet another attack on our community, more specifically the Jewish community of Montreal. And our entire community, not just the Jewish community of Montreal, is hurting with the latest rise in anti-Semitic acts across Montreal. Children and parents are shaken up after 2 Jewish schools in Montreal's Côte-des-Neiges, Notre-Dame-de-Grâce borough were hit by bullets. This comes after 2 Molotov cocktails were thrown at a Dollard synagogue, and, of course, the violent altercation between pro-Israel and pro-Palestinian groups at Concordia University. This is right here in Montreal. Now, all 3 levels of government are looking at this very closely. You just heard the Prime Minister, Premier Legault responded, Mayor Plante responded. All calls for calm, but we need more. And to tell us more on this, happy to be joined by Dominic LeBlanc. He's Canada's Minister for Public Safety. Mr. Minister, thank you for your time this afternoon.
Good evening.
So, first, your reaction to the situation here in Montreal. The people are shaken.
And understandably so. I've spoken to my colleagues from Montreal. The RCMP and CSIS updated me on their latest information. People are understandably concerned. I think people also need to be reassured, as you noted in the introduction, that the 3 orders of government, the City of Montreal, the SPVM, the Montreal Police, the Sûreté de Québec, the RCMP, CSIS, are working actively all the time, exchanging information, helping in investigations as is appropriate. But more importantly, the government of Canada is working directly with communities. I was in Montreal on Tuesday this week at the Belt School, met representatives of the Hasidic community, went to the Darlington Community Center mosque, and met the Jewish Federation, specifically to tell them that the government of Canada was going to make available funds, for example, to hire private security firms if they think that will help reassure people who want to understandably go to places of worship or community centers or schools and feel safe and protected. The police are there to do their jobs, but the prosecutors and the government will also do what is necessary to hold those, as you noted or as was noted in the Prime Minister's comments, I think at the beginning, who espouse hate and incitement to violence. That is properly the subject of investigation by police authorities, and obviously nobody's going to tolerate that kind of dangerous incitement that leads to the worrisome events this week in Montreal.
I can understand that you cannot speak to specific investigations, but at the same time, I mean, since last weekend, when one particular individual, Adil Sharkawi, made this very despicable speech during a pro-Palestinian rally here in Montreal, there have been calls. Even Premier Legault called it hate speech and called for swift reaction. The question about this, I mean, what types of resources are being brought to bear? And you mentioned CSIS and the RCMP, which is directly under federal government control, but also maybe you can tell us more about what type of coordination exists between the orders of government. You talked about the SPVM, you talked about the Sûreté de Québec, but what is being done? And because there are definitely some people that are just laughing at our laws here. I mean, when you're spraying schools with bullets and throwing Molotov cocktails, we're at another level.
And I don't disagree with you at all. The particular individual's hateful remarks were shocking. It was that we talked about it in the House of Commons this week. I think everybody who heard them should properly be disgusted. The the decision as to what constitutes a criminal incitement to violence or hate speech is properly made, as you know, by police and ultimately by prosecutors in the court system. I have every confidence that the Montreal police, but with the help of RCMP and other policing partners, are doing what they need to properly investigate and determine what's the appropriate course of action. There is a great deal of coordination between the RCMP, as you say, and CSIS, which come under our responsibility, the Government of Canada, and policing partners in, obviously, Canada's big cities, and in the case of Montreal, where there's this understandable concern. There are literally daily meetings where they coordinate access to information. There's an integrated national security investigation group. My discussions with CSIS and the RCMP were obviously as they come into possession of intelligence information that can help policing partners in Quebec, in Montreal, do what they need to do, that information is immediately shared as is appropriate. So I'm quite confident that all of the appropriate law enforcement steps are in place, and that the people who conduct these or undertake these violent and dangerous acts, like what we saw in Montreal. You mentioned, I saw representatives of the synagogue in Dollard-des-Ormeaux when I met the Jewish Federation on Tuesday evening, and these people are understandably and reasonably worried. I hope that the police bring to justice the perpetrators of this, but we're not waiting after the fact to have police and prosecutors do their work. We're stepping up as a national government to try and help communities directly install security systems, change locks, doors, hire, as I said, on an exceptional basis, private security. I've got friends that are going to a wedding at a synagogue on the weekend, and I was thinking about that. It should be a joyful, happy family moment, and they're understandably now concerned about their safety at this event. So that's unacceptable in Canada. And the government needs to work with these communities as we're doing.
Well, Minister
to
LeBlanc,
provide them that reassurance and resources so that they can enhance their own security and protection.
Understood. But again, you alluded to this situation with your friends and this wedding. I mean, when we look to government, I mean, one of the fundamental roles of government is ensuring the safety of its citizens. And right now, you have parents who are fearful of sending their kids to school. You yourself just mentioned, I mean, you are wondering if it's safe to go to a wedding. And so this goes to the core here. So what I want to ask you, and I appreciate what you're saying, and I appreciate that you're proactive here. But again, to our listeners, I mean, what is being done to get back to a sense of basic safety, not only to react to these insidious acts that have been perpetrated this week, but what is being done in terms of prevention by the federal government and the other authorities?
Yeah, I don't want to disagree with your question, but I didn't wonder if it was safe for them to go to this wedding. I think it is safe.
I'm talking about the citizens' perception that they don't feel safe, Minister.
Yeah, and that's why, and that's exactly why the Government of Canada is working directly with these communities, and that was my conversation in Montreal on Tuesday evening, where the Government of Canada will directly fund enhanced security infrastructure measures, private security. That's an immediate, short-term, direct way we can reassure these people attending these community centers and these places of worship. But as you said, the responsibility to ensure the safety of citizens in our system is shared by three orders of government. And I'm confident that the municipal police in Montreal, and as is appropriate with the Sûreté de Québec, and the National Police Force being the RCMP, are very much on top of monitoring potential threats, doing what is necessary in the context of providing enhanced patrols and security. And after the fact, clearly the people who perpetrate hateful acts or violent acts need to be brought to justice. But it's a lot better, as you noted, to be proactive,
Yeah.
which is exactly what the Government of Canada is doing with partners in municipalities and provinces.
Yeah, and I hear that. I have 30 seconds left, Minister LeBlanc. My last question, any information you can give us, is any of these horrific acts any coordinated, or do these seem isolated from what you've heard so far?
So again, I want to be careful not to speculate on what is properly the subject of very active police investigations. The lead police in this case is properly so the Montreal police force. So I think that's a question that has to be put to them. I don't want to speculate, but we do acknowledge and accept that this is a worrisome and unacceptable level of violence and threat that needs to be denounced, and those that perpetrate it need to be punished. But we're not going to wait for that to happen. If we can enhance security measures and support communities directly right now.
Thank you for your time, sir. Appreciate it.
Have a great evening.
Dominic LeBlanc is Canada's Minister for Public Safety.